Hi, my name is Kara Chaney. I am currently a registered nurse in the state of Maryland and have recently returned to Frostburg State University to complete my RN to BSN degree. As part of the capstone project for the program, I was required to do a service learning project. I chose to explore family and child homelessness because in my current position working in public schools, this is an issue I do see come up a lot. In order to talk about the homelessness in the population, we have to first talk about some different definitions. Even as referred to the McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistance Act here, there is a difference between homelessness when it pertains to individuals and then homelessness as opposed applied to children and youth. They do accommodate for a little bit more with children and youth. And then there are also other definitions that can be used in regards to the housing and urban development and things like that. So keeping in mind some of the information that gets reported may not match exactly with things you could find in other research, but the general trend should show the same thing. As shown here, courtesy of the America's Youngest Outcasts report, it does show that the rise in the number of homeless children has been dramatic since 2006. Now they point out that 2.5 million children are homeless, so that roughly relates to 1 in every 30 children. Again, this is based on the McKinney-Vento definition, including the children and youth. So that number can be interpreted differently. For example, in the text from the references, the textbook has that 3 in 200 children in America are homeless. Again, that just may depend on whether families are included who do live with other, doubled up in housing with other people. And that can also be a misleading number because families who do that and live with other people often don't report that because they don't want the families they're living with to get in trouble for having too many people in the house. This is a screenshot of the initial page of America's Youngest Outcast, and that's a report that I found that gives information using federal data to estimate the number of homeless children, discuss some of the issues that are occurring, and providing some solutions for that. Inside of the report, there are state profiles which give the number of homeless children over time, measure the well-being of the children and the risk for homelessness, and then describe state policy and the environment. The major causes of homelessness in the U.S. have to do with poverty, lack of affordable housing, domestic violence, mental illness, and substance abuse, contributing to growing trends in family homelessness. The impact that this has on children crosses many realms of their lives. Their physical health, being the most obvious that's noticed, can cause lower birth weights in infancies of families who give birth during homelessness, higher rates of obesity due to nutritional deficiencies, which sounds kind of odd. You would think maybe lack of nutrition would be one of the problems, but another issue is finding the adequate food. So while they may be getting nutrition, it's not the proper kind. There's going to be a lot of fast food, a lot of junk food, and things like that. So that's going to contribute to the obesity, which can also go far into their lifetimes. There's, of course, the possibilities of going hungry just due to lack of money available for foods. They're more likely than their housed counterparts, and this information does include comparison based on income level. So they are comparing children who also may be in the poor or under poverty level but have a home. So they're 4 times more likely than those children to become ill. And then as they grow into teenage years and adolescence, there's a higher risk for HIV, hepatitis, and STIs. And that's based on the fact that a lot of the children may turn into prostitution or trading sex basically for food or housing, shelter, things like that. Their social health is impacted. One of the biggest parts I see is the compromised education. Although 87% are enrolled in school, only 77% attend regularly. And that has to do with that the parents' priority a lot of times is finding food and shelter and meeting basic needs, not having the access or the energy to get their children to school. Transportation can be an issue. Back to living with other families, doubling up in houses. Maybe they don't want to disclose that, so they're not necessarily in the district of their school that might provide transportation. Things like that cause them to hide and then maybe not attend school. As this continues through adolescence, if the homelessness continues, fewer than 25% of homeless adolescents actually graduate high school. There's also the increased risk to be arrested due to risky behaviors, running away, breaking curfews, or being without supervision. And then the psychological health is also impacted. They have 3 times the rate of emotional and behavioral problems. By age 12, a majority have been exposed to violence, and a lot of them have witnessed that within their own homes and families. And then homeless youth also suffer from anxiety, depression, contact orders, PTSD, and low self-esteem in much higher amounts than their counterparts. Healthy People 2020 is a program that was developed through the CDC, or Center for Disease Control, Department of Health and Human Services, in which they look at current trends in the health of the overall population of the United States and develop goals to obtain better health results. Some of the goals that are related to homelessness are shown here. Obviously showing the preventable disease, injury, premature death, those things apply as in the family homelessness areas. The creating social and physical environments that provide good health for all, that obviously would work for us, increasing the attendance in schools. That educational setting at least provides up to 40 to 50 hours a week that these children will be in areas with good shelter, getting nutrition in schools, having access to care, things like that. The achieving the health equity in improving the health of all groups applies to the children and youth as well as the individuals. It was pointed out that the federal government made large increases to decrease the amount of the homelessness among the chronically homeless, chronically mentally ill, and veterans. And they have shown progress with that, but children and families are just not receiving the same attention. So what I would like you to take from this is that this is an issue that's growing in our population and needs to be addressed. I would encourage you to go and find any way you can to assist in this. If it's a matter of writing to your congressmen or senators to increase awareness and ask what's going on about that. If you're involved in any church or youth groups, to see if there are ways that you can help provide resources or information to this. If you have children in school, checking with the PTA, seeing if there's anything that they do to get involved to help these children. Anything that we do at this point to help from any level would be of great assistance in decreasing this horrible trend that's happening in our area and the United States. Thank you.